I got every workout from 1983 until 1997. Every single workout, every rep, every set. Preparation notes for Mr. Olympia and all these things. This worked, this didn't work. So very analytical, writing everything, analyzing, studying.
His training diary was his life, and that was him. He knew if he followed X, it would equal Y, and that's what's been proven.
He totally believed what he was doing was right. He had no doubts. That's half the battle. If you believe in something, you can make it happen.
Blood and guts is just to the level where no one's willing to go. I mean, that's what it's about. Turn the body inside out, no matter what it takes. He wasn't going to stop. He was a train.
What do you think are the biggest pressures of being a competitive bodybuilder at the highest stature? And do you think to ultimately get to what your achievement, do you think there's very few capable of actually maintaining that? Because you won 4, right? So kind of like tell us, what was that like, the mindset, and just what does that take, to what kind of pressures you have to.
The mindset. Remember, you win the Mr. Olympia, it's a yearly thing, so your relief of like, okay, I'm the champ. And then your concern is, okay, I never want to lose this high, right? So you train every day in fear of like, okay, I need to stay ahead of everybody else because now I'm at the peak. And there's no one greater on the planet than me, what I do. That was the hardest part for me because I always felt the pressure of being Mr. Olympia and how people perceived that, meaning I felt like I always needed to be presentable. I needed to have a certain amount of size. I needed to appear the next year better than before, or at least as good. And peaking the body was very difficult. But remember, you're still traveling. You're still representing the business. You want people to see you as like the ultimate. And I think that a lot of people, they're not prepared for that. I was prepared because obviously I was second a lot of times. And to be honest, when I won, it was very similar to being second, but I did get a lot more respect. People respected me a lot more because now that title made a huge difference in my arsenal of like, what I had achieved. So I feel like, the fear of losing was what drove me more than anything. And I can honestly admit that. A lot of these champions say, oh, I never thought, I remember Ronnie saying, oh, no one's going to beat me, da-da-da-da-da. But I'm sure I looked over at him when I was waiting for the call for the show, and it was me and him standing there, and I saw how nervous he was every time. Even though he felt like, okay, I beat Jay. I mean, there's a lot of shows I thought I beat certain people, and I didn't. And it's all up to the judges. So I think that fear is a big part of a motivating factor on why you continue to work harder and be better. Being a champion is a lot of pressure like that.
Yeah. And to be able to maintain that is...
You have to have a strong mentality to be able to maintain being the champ. You have a lot of negative when you're a target and people will criticize you. You have to know how to handle it and not shout back and not be consumed by the negative comments and surround yourself with the positive things, but not the over positive things. So if someone in your team or your camp is hyping you up and telling you, don't worry about it, you got this, it's easy for you. And you need sometimes people like, hey man, keep working harder, keep doing this and keep improving. And I was very, very good at that. I would ask and evaluate the people closest to me, say, okay, what can I do to improve, or what do I need to improve? Where was the closest competitor exposing my physique? And that's what continued to make me work harder.
Now, we all know that bodybuilding, right, in comparison to like other professional sports, it's not really as rewarding, in terms of, the payout and stuff like that. Now, but yet we see every day that people push to the extreme, right, to get to this level. What do you think makes someone get up and say, you know what, I'm going to dedicate my entire everything to this sport, which is not as, you know, given. You know, I know for you, I mean, you can talk it from your perspective and also like from others. Right?
I can tell you what made me get up and want it. I never looked at the financial aspect, meaning I can tell you for each Olympia, I never looked at the prize money. I never really put a dollar value on it. The rewarding thing was I was looking in the mirror and seeing changes in my body, and that's really what I wanted. It was a self-esteem thing. So I challenged myself every day when I went to the gym and said, okay, can I be stronger this week? Can I do this movement and feel better about it from the week prior? What challenges can I face? Okay, I'm going to train in the middle of the night because no one else is doing it. There's certain things I did that I play mental games with myself, but the truth is I never looked at, okay, what is the reward of this? The reward was every day being able to look at myself in the mirror and see what I'm building and know that my influence on so many people around the world, because I was able to touch so many people through the magazines at the time, I was changing people's lives. I mean, so I never really put a dollar value because, to be honest, I mean, I came from nothing. I struggled for a long time before I actually started making money, and I became so successful that it really didn't matter if I made another 200 grand for winning the Mr. Olympia. That money never changed my life any. That you get to a certain point where your lifestyle kind of covers itself. And like I said, when I used to get the Olympia checks after 2 weeks after or whatever, it was like, man, this is great. I just got this check, and I never really thought about, when I went to bed the night of winning the Olympia, how much money I won. It was about the title and having people understand hey, I'm like the pinnacle of what we do. It was a esteem thing. So I think for me it was, I can look at other people's avenues. If you're doing a job because you're chasing money, it's the wrong route. And people may do this thinking they're going to get rich, and then they realize for a while they're not gonna. But I can't really speak on that sense because I can just tell you from experience what I lived, and it was never a financial decision for me. I never chose the Arnold Classics necessarily because it was the biggest prize. I just wanted that title as a stepping stone to get to the ultimate. And the ultimate was the Olympia and those sandows that sit behind me. There's nothing greater. Look, as a kid, when I picked up a magazine at 12 and I saw a picture of Chris Dickerson, and he had this Sandow trophy, right? And I said, okay, what is this thing? And I didn't know what the history of Eugene Sandow even was. And I didn't give a shit. All I saw was this thing is this is what they hold. I thought that thing was worth $1 million back then. But I slowly realized that, hey, this is what Arnold won, and then it's I want what Arnold had. And then it was what I wanted, what Dorian Yates had, and Lee Haney, and Ronnie Coleman. And every day I wake up and I walk in my office, and I look at these. That's why I put these Sandows here. The Arnold trophies sit in that corner, because what means the most to me when I walk through that door and I look forward and I run into the trophies. I mean, what history, right? To be able to say that you were the greatest in the world 4 times over, and those things are displayed like that. That's what my whole life was dedicated to for, a lot of my years. I mean, I trained from, basically I knew at 12 I wanted to be a bodybuilder, but I didn't win the trophy till I was 33. So for me, that's a lifetime of achievement. And I did it several times, and that's where the payoffs really come. And I think that's all I gave a shit about, was just winning that damn trophy. And these medals also, I mean, those don't mean as much because I didn't really look at that trophy, holding that trophy in my hand. That was my ultimate goal.